This is August the 15th, 2023. I am Virginia Doll. I'm coming to you on Facebook through Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner. Wanted to welcome everybody who is here and watching. And of course, I want to also welcome those people who come back and are watching the replay. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about our annual catalog. Here is our annual catalog. It started in May of 2023 and will go through the end of April. The items that we're using this evening are from the annual catalog, and I will open up that in just a minute and show you the pages where the stamp set and dies are available. In addition, we are getting ready to launch our mini catalog, which will go from September through December. And you can order from this catalog as a customer. You can order from this catalog on September 6th. I can't open it up and show you anything from inside the catalog. However, let me show you the back of the catalog. It's full of all the fall and winter holiday items that you could possibly need, and also some all occasion items as well. So keep tuned, and when September 6th rolls around, and I have been kind of giving you sneak peeks of various products in my videos recently. Well, when that rolls around, you'll be able to order from this new mini catalog. And there are, again, tons and tons of wonderful things in here. Okay. Don't forget, if you have bonus day coupons, to make sure you use those bonus day coupons before the end of August. And then you can redeem those for free product. And also make sure that you look at the kits, and we offer our kits online only. And those kits are on sale throughout the entire month of August. So again, by the end of August, make sure you've had a chance to look at the kits. If you'd like to purchase a kit, it is, like, I think it's 30% off on all the kits that we have available, with the exception of Paper Pumpkin. Now, Paper Pumpkin is a subscription service, so it's different from the regular kits that we offer online, because it's a subscription service enables you to get monthly a new Paper Pumpkin every month. And of course, that's usually themed around whatever month you're getting it in, or maybe it's the next month that you're say, for instance, you get it in November. All the things in the kit will be geared toward Christmas. And if you get a kit in, or not a kit, a Paper Pumpkin in December, it's going to be geared toward things that are in January. So keeping that in mind, it's like it's a month ahead each time. And speaking of kits, this one is for September, and that one you can start ordering it August 11th, which was earlier this week. Actually last week, wasn't it? Yeah. And it's available while supplies last. Let's see, August 11th through 10th of September, you can sign up for the Paper Pumpkin, and then there is an add-on. This is what I was reading earlier. That starts being available August 11th through while the supplies last. It's an 8x10 journal with special gold foil sticker sheets. And it's $15. So it's a Thoughts of Thanks journal. And this, with love and gratitude, Paper Pumpkin was, I guess, designed with Shelley Gardner in mind. Shelley Gardner is our former CEO and founder of Stampin'Up. And by the way, Stampin'Up is in its 35th year this year. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. All right, so that's all the housekeeping stuff I have to do right now. So what I want to do at this point is go through here and make sure I can see. Okay, I may have to go back and refresh here. and make sure that I am live on Facebook. So let's see if I can find myself on my Facebook page. Okay. All right. And of course, I'm trying to do two things at once, and that is not easy. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure it's on here somewhere, but I just can't get it to come up right at the moment. So let me log out and log back in again. It's on my Facebook page, so you should be able to see that. Okay, very good. I also have um, my captions on, so that is available for people who need to use that. And I think it's really important that that is something that we, anyway, because of my hearing issues, I make sure that I do that because it's important for me to know that that is, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not finding myself. I know I'm on here because I see myself on my other Facebook page. So anyway, I'm going to let it go, and I won't be able to see any comments tonight. But hello, Deanna. You're probably here watching. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment, please, so that I can go back later and see that. I may try in a few minutes to look for that again. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this. All right, in our annual catalog, I mentioned the stamp set that I am featuring tonight is called Dainty Delights. It is on page 22 in our annual catalog. And this was one of those rare stamp sets that we had in our mini catalog in January of 2023. There was also a very popular set of 12 by 12 designer series paper that went along with this in our special that we, our celebration special promotion that we run in January of every year. So, but the Dainty Delight stamp set also comes with Dainty Delight dies. When it transferred over or carried over from the mini catalog, it's no longer a bundle, and you have to purchase both of those items separately. But there it is, and in Pinterest and Splitco stampers and in the catalog itself, there are all kinds of examples of using those dies and the flowers and so forth to make a card with. So I enjoyed using that quite a bit. It was nice to get back to using this. And I actually used this stamp set in a recent stamping stamp studio type situation with some friends of mine. And I believe they really enjoyed it. All right, so here is the Dainty Delight Cling stamp set. It's cling mount, which means it is red rubber. You can see that the images and the fonts are, the sentiments are very delicate looking. There's not a lot, it is a lined stamp. There's not a lot of coloring involved. Just a little hint of color is necessary. And you'll see that I utilize the fact that it is a lined stamp and the hint of color in one of the cards that I'm going to show you tonight, one of the other examples of cards. So Dainty Delight stamp set, I think, and then there is the Dainty Delight. Thank goodness Stampin' Up! Is now, the stamp sets and dies that coordinate with each other are now all going to be the same name. So that makes one less name that we have to remember for everything. So I use several pieces of this die set, and I'm actually going to utilize one of these pieces and show you how to cut it out online, or online, live tonight. So I'm going to pull that piece out so I know that I'm going to use that. All right, and in addition, I used a piece from the sentiment piece from the Cheerful Daisies. I used this piece. from that die set. And I used this larger piece from the Nested Essentials to cut out the designer series paper that I wanted to use as a kind of a background piece. So there's that. And let me, speaking of designer series paper, let's quickly go through that. This is the glorious Gingham 6x6 designer series paper. You get 40 sheets. That's 8 each of 5 colors. All right. And then actually you get 2 designs. All right. So there you go. So that's quite a nice little stash there. The colors are Berry Burst, Blueberry Bushel, Lemon Lime Twist, Pecan Pie, and Pretty Peacock. Okay. And I will use the Blueberry Bushel tonight, using the smaller gingham part on that. So that is the designer series paper that we're using this evening. Okay, now here is the card. And I think you'll agree that that is really quite cheerful, and it's a little bit more intense than what I normally do, but I think you'll see that the pieces are very easy to put together, and the card goes together very quickly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pieces that we need for this. Of course, we have our envelope, a medium wide envelope. We will be stamping on that. We will also be doing some coloring this time here. You need some scraps of basic white so you can stamp your sentiment, stamp and cut out your sentiment. You need a scrap. Actually, this was 3x6. It didn't need to be quite that long, but 3 inches in width. This is a piece of that designer series paper in Blueberry Bushel, and I cut it out using the Nested Essentials dies. I also cut out for basic white. I used one of the dies. All right, these are like, I don't know, what do they call it? Queen Anne's lace kind of pieces. So we're going to use that to decorate our card with. And this is a piece of that circle piece that I showed you, or that half circle piece that I showed you. I forgot to pop out all these little pieces here, but they come out very easily, as you can see. All right, and we're going to cut that in half and use that on either side of our focal point, our image. I went ahead and stamped the image in Memento ink, and that's Memento Tuxedo Black ink. The Blueberry Bushel is what I used to stamp the sentiment with. And we'll go back and use, I believe, the Memento in just a minute when we do a little tiny bit of stamping. Now, there are other pieces that I utilized. I used the newly revamped or redesigned Stampin' Write markers in Real Red, Blueberry Bushel, Granny Apple Green, and Daffodil Delight. The smaller end, and that is indicated by this line right here, and this picture, is more of a blunter tip, not like a fountain pen anymore, but more marker-like. This is more like a brush. This tip on the wider end, where the wider band is more of a brush tip on that side. We were finding that the tip that was not the brush side was drying out so much easier, so much more than the other tip was. And so it just wasn't really working out very well. So we decided to try a different type of tip, which is thicker. Okay. So we will be using those. Here is an up close image of the stamp that I'm using. And this is what I used on the envelope and on the inside of the card. And then the sentiment itself came from the stamp set, Sending Love During the Season of Growth. Okay. All right, so there's that. In addition, we're using a little linen thread, and we would be using our brushed brass butterflies to add a final little bit of bling to the card. All right. You will need 2 pieces of basic white. These are both 5 1/4 by 4. One is for the insert, one is for the layer on the front, the insert on the inside of the card. So I'm going to lay that one over there because I'm going to have to do a little stamping on that. Here is our card base, which is your standard size card base. It is 4 1/4. No, I'm sorry, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. All right, and I've already gone ahead and scored that using my bone folder. Okay, so we're going to do a little coloring, a little bit of stamping, and there is a little bit of marker flicking that's going to take place. And I'll explain that to you when we get to that point. All right, let's go ahead and get some of this little tiny bit of stamping done that we need to do. All right, I'm going to pull out my Memento black. I always make sure I check. See, you can look at that and you can see that I didn't quite get that whole stamp inked. So I tap, tap, tap. This one, the Memento, is not quite as juicy as my other stamps pads are. All right, since this is a portrait card, I'm going to go ahead and line it up here. I am going to use my grid paper to help me with this, and I'm going to stamp this in the corner. All right, I'm going to do the same thing on, okay, not on this one, but on my envelope, making sure the flap is on top. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. Oops, almost got that into my card. All right, here we go. So that's the stamping that we're going to do. Let's pull our markers over here and let's begin to do a little coloring on the markers with our markers. I'm going to use the, as I said, the smaller tip, the blunt edge tip of the new markers. This is Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to go in here and hopefully my head won't get in here because some of these spaces are very tiny. So forgive me as I try to do this. And I hope you can see it's a very tiny little picture that I'm coloring in right now. And, all right. And like that. See? I hope you can, once that stops being fuzzy, okay? And let's do the inside. You barely touch this because it colors it very well. All right, so there's that. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, again using the blunt edge, and I'm just going to go inside each of those little flowers. Then I'm going to take the blue, because I'm doing the blue on the outside and on the inside of the card. And these flowers are just so tiny, it just, you barely touch the marker to the paper and it's done. And these are water-based markers. So there you go. All right, so the insert is finished. Let's finish up our envelope here. Just that little tiny bit of detail sometimes can make or break a card. You know, it can just add that extra little oomph to the card. Okay, so there we go. So there is the envelope for our card. All right, now we're going to start coloring these. This will take slightly longer, and I'm going to let you look at this card to see how we did that. Okay, so I can pull that there so we can see. I believe I colored all the little tiny flowers in blue. So while I have the blue marker out, the blueberry bushel, I'm just going to go ahead and just do that. Barely touch those tiny little pieces. I could use the Stampin' Blends if I wanted to. Either one of the coloring ones would work. Our watercolor pencils would also work very well. So there's several different coloring tools that we have, and I would be um, very interested in hearing what are your favorite coloring tools that Stampin' Up! Carries. I don't know that I have a particular favorite. I do like them all, and each one is supremely suited for different things. So I'm glad we have the opportunity to utilize different ones. All right, so I'm going to take that away from that. I'm going to use my yellow now because I'm going to try to get in here and do some of these. Okay, hold on. Okay. And I guess I'm over here fiddling with this thing and I just need to leave it alone. Okay. All right, so back to putting the yellow dots there. Okay, and not a lot, a little bit in these bigger flowers. These bigger flowers are going to be red. Okay, let's do that. And then the last color I need to use is my Granny Apple Green. I am not going to color in the um, Queen Anne's lace. That's white, so I'm just going to leave that just as white on the picture that I'm coloring in. Again, just barely touching. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of lines and shadows and so forth. You don't need to worry about blending in any particular uh, shading or whatever. I think this is just because this area that we're coloring is so tiny. I just think it's not really necessary to do that. All right, and let's see down here. We'll be done with this coloring. I know it's a little tedious to do all this coloring here. Okay, almost finished. All right, so the rest of the pictures or images on this need to be green. So I'm going to go around, and this is very fast because all these spaces are pretty small. So hopefully don't miss any. I hope everybody has had a good day today. I know that today has been kind of a, at least here in our area, there has been recurring, not thunderstorms, but rainstorms, rain coming and the sun coming out. And then, half hour later, it starts raining again. And, so kind of storm front went through a couple of different times. So it's always good, as hot as it's been. Our grass and our plants need the extra watering that provides so that we don't have to use up our own groundwater. All right, almost finished here. I knew this part would be a little tedious. That's why I usually try to get it done ahead of time, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to see how nicely this tip works, and how different it is from the previous markers that we had. It colors beautifully and works very, very nicely with everything. I think I got pretty much everything here. I believe that looks like it's done. Okay, very good. All right, so that's all of our coloring. Okay, now what I want to do next, I'm going to kind of move a few things out of the way here a little bit so they don't get caught up in things. I have my little mini Stampin' Emboss or Cut and Emboss, Stamping Cut and Emboss, and I'm going to show you how I use this. It's going to wiggle a little bit because my paper isn't down. When you're cutting out a die, it tells you on the actual plate here itself, it tells you exactly what you need to, when you place the die cutting edge down, and it tells you what pieces you need to create your sandwich with. Okay, and it says to use with thin dies, and most all the dies that we have are thin dies, and these are for the little tiny pieces that fit through this machine. We have a larger machine that works beautifully as well too, but this is really handy to have for demonstration purposes, and for also other times when you just need a little tiny piece. So to do these thin dies, I need the base plate, which is plate number 1. Excuse me. And then I need a plate number 2. Then I need to put my paper down. Then I need to put my die cut on here. And typically what I do is I have these little pieces of post-it note paper, post-it note tape, and I arrange this on, let's see, there we go, like that. Just wiggle the die on that, make sure that that's where I need it. Okay, and I tape it down. The tape won't come off or damage the image at all. It's like using a post-it note, only it's in a tape form. And then you use another one of the layers. Now the key thing here is to make sure that you make your plates, the one in the center needs to be shorter than the 2 on the outside, so it looks kind of like an E. Then you put it through, and it should catch and cut. I'm sorry you really can't see that because I have my hand here. All right, so there we go. And it might make a popping noise at the end, and that's not a big deal. That's not a problem. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this out. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and I typically store my plates because you can see here they do get a little warped. I typically store them inside. I put them back through and push them back through here so that I store them so that there's pressure from the wheel inside this this Stampin' Emboss machine to kind of push down the acrylic piece. So, and I do go from when I start on this side and cut, I make sure that I cut all the way through, and then the next time I cut with this, I'll start on this side and go that way. That keeps my roller on the inside from getting I don't know, warped, I guess, a little bit. It keeps it lasts longer. It cuts better that way. All right, so now then I take this off, and of course I'll throw that away. keep the tape because it can be reused many times until all the sticky goes away. And then here is the image that we just cut out. Okay, so all right, so I'm happy with that image. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's get our card put together. And I'm going to start with the inside first. That will be the easiest place to start, using my Stampin' Seal. Oops, sorry, F. Okay, and I'm here. I want to make sure that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Now, this goes on the bottom, so I have to be careful and remember the inside piece, and I'm going to turn it sideways here because that helps me look a little bit at it and figure out if I'm getting it even all the way around. Remember, this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white paper. All right, now I look like I have a fairly even border all the way around there. Okay, and then just tape that down. So the inside is done. For the outside, there's one more thing we need to do. And I'm going to take that piece of paper and I'm going to put something on here that's rather large and cumbersome, but let's hope I don't mess up anything. This is my, I don't know if you want to call it spritzer type thing. It's just a box, a paper box lid. And then what I'm doing is putting my paper down here. I want to put splatters on this, and you can see I've already done that a little bit. And I'm using the brush tip end of my markers. Now it could get a little bit messy here because these are new markers, and so it's going to be a little juicy. So I'm going to show you how to flick this. I'm sticking the brush end inside the lid, and I'm going to just sort of flick it like this. And you can see that I'm getting some little splatters on there. And that's about all I want in the way of the red. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to do, it doesn't really matter the order that you do it in. Again, the brush tip. All right. Like maybe 3 times. And it splatters out in different places all the time. So, all right, so there's that. And then finally the blue one. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's the piece that we did. And you can see that I have splatters on it. And the splatters are mostly contained in there, I hope. All right. And a little bit on my hands, but hey, I'm stamping. It usually works that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my splattered piece of paper, determine how I want it to go, where I have the most color, I guess. Yeah, I think I'll go this way. I'm going to go ahead and use my Tombo multi-purpose glue to glue this on. Well, this is a full bottle of glue, so it's kind of generous with the. Okay. I think I'm going to do it this way. Yeah. Again, it's 4 by 5 1/4. So looking to make sure that I have an even edge all the way around as far as best as I can do here. All right, that looks pretty good. And the glue will allow me a little bit of wiggle room in case I need to straighten something up or I have it too much at one end, which I think I do. So I can move it up a smidge. There we go. Okay, so now There's that piece. Now I'm going to take this piece and add it to now I don't know if you saw that or not, but on that nested essential dies, it's stitched around the edge. Now it's very hard to see that. By the way, this would make an awfully good coffin lid for a Halloween card, by the way. So I think that's a good size. So keep that in mind with that nested essential dies. I think that would work really, really well. And I'm going to place this here. I like to kind of dry fit it to see exactly where it's going. Okay. Again, I will glue it down. All right. Give it a little bit. I want to make sure that my edges should be about the same. I'm okay with the top and bottom and then the side because I don't want to get rid of too much of this splatter that we did over here on that side. All right, now the next pieces that we're going to put on, we're going to kind of dry fit this a little bit and see where we want to put this, because I want to put this over to the side a little bit. I'm going to need to put this piece here, but I want to see where I want to put that. I'm going to pop all of this up with dimensionals. Okay, let's move that over just a bit. Okay. And then I'm going to, and I said I would cut this in half. So about halfway down here, I'm going to cut this piece. So, all right. You won't be able to see that. All right, now while I have that sort of sitting there, let me go ahead and these other pieces I'm going to tuck underneath of it with glue, but I want to use my dimensionals, and I'm going to use some big and small, regular size and mini dimensionals. I want to make sure that this gets all the way on there, but I don't want to put too many dimensionals. But I want to put some on these the little ones on these little appendages, so to speak. So, okay, here we go. All right, so let's go ahead, and that looks like enough, I think, and I also will need dimensionals on this piece, and I want to be careful how I do. I'm going to do 2 on this side, but I'm going to wait to put that one until I see exactly where I need to put it when I'm adding it to the card. All right, so let's go ahead and take all the backings off of the dimensionals. Okay. And let's see, that looks pretty good there. About like that, I think. Just eyeball it. All right, now these guys I'm going to stick down using some glue. Now, remember on these die cuts, there's definitely a flatter side and a more raised side. This is, you can see with this particular die, there are little indentations in the leaves. And of course, you obviously want to have that up facing off your card. So you're going to put your glue on this side, and I'm just going to barely put I'm not going to put a lot of glue on this, just a tiny little bit. I have a cat, sorry, I apologize. He is, for some reason, down here in the basement. He shouldn't be. He's wanting my attention. He's a food hog, so he's wanting me to feed him. All right, so let's see. Stick this under here. Get my pieces. Okay, have to move it up just a little bit here. All right. Okay, that looks good. All right, and I may go back and add a little bit of glue to that to glue that down a little bit, and a little bit of glue on the back of this. Don't want to put too much. Okay, there we go. That's out there. All right, yes, I got glue on my hands, and so I just rub them together. All right, now this piece there. These pieces are a little longish, so I'm going to cut these in about half so I can tuck them under. Okay. And a little tiny bit of glue right here. Not much. Let me turn that one over. Sorry to tuck that under. Okay, there we go with that piece. And then tucking in this little piece right here. Okay, there we go. And I do want them to kind of stand out a little bit, so that works well for me. All right, now let's see. I want to see how I do with my placement of this, but before I do that, I'm going to do something I saw another demonstrator do the other day. And rather than tying a bow and leaving and putting this over top of the bow and having a knot sitting in the middle of it, I'm going to take a piece of this linen thread. Now, using my bone folder, I'm going to take it and just kind of smooth out any kinks that are here. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, you're not able to see that. Sorry. It's kind of the opposite of like when you're curling ribbon. You don't want this to curl. You want to take the curl out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this around like this, and then another piece like that. All right, and there we go. That looks probably about right. Cut that off. I'm going to use a glue dot. So I'm going to just go ahead and put this on a glue dot. And it will look like it's already a bow, but there's no knot there. Okay, and this can go up there or it can go below it. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on my card. Kind of like that. You can always work with it and tuck this under if you want your pieces to come down like this rather than, oh, yeah, okay, there. So there is that. Now let's look at how we're going to position this. And what I'm going to do is rather than use another dimensional here, I'm going to use a glue dot because that way it's not doubly raised up and lopsided on one side. So I'm going to take a glue dot. You can see that glue dot. Okay. And I'm going to place that right there on the edge of that. Okay. Then remove the backings. And we are almost done. And kind of put this, smooth this on here. Like this. Now, underneath that ribbon is also, or that twine is also secured by the dimensional that's underneath the greeting. Okay, so it's doubly secured. So you don't need to worry about it slipping out. It's not going to go anywhere. All right, so there's that. And the final thing that we need to do is find our brushed brass butterflies. And I decided I wanted to use some of the big ones here. So let's go ahead and do that. And these are nice and flat, and they fit really nicely up here. So I'm going to kind of add that little dude right there. Sorry for my cat. I can't control his ridiculous whining behavior. But anyway, that's, for some reason, he thinks I'm the only person that can feed him. Nobody else knows he's down here. Anyway, we're almost done, so he will bide his time here. And I am going to one there, and one here. Okay? So we have them all kind of going in different directions. All right, so there you go. There is the card, Dainty Delight. I think you'll find that that ended up turning into a nice little card that is very nice to, there we go. So, all right, there's that. The techniques that I used, I hope those are helpful. You find that those are techniques that you can use on your own cards. And let's see here. Making some space for the ones I want to show you. Remember, I mentioned just briefly that I did take advantage of just using the line drawing of the spray of flowers. And what I did was I put a color background on it. And I just blocked off this. And I used 3 different colors. And this is Tahitian Tide, I believe. No, it's Coastal Cabana. Sorry, Coastal Cabana. Again, using the dyes from the Nested Essentials. And then I let the color background color my flowers for me, pretty much. So there is that. And I didn't do anything to the envelope this time. So there's that. And then the other one is one that I demonstrated, and the folks at the card class made this card. And so I used slightly different embellishments and an embossing folder, and then one of the other designs, and this is Fresh Freesia. And this is the linen thread that I just doubled and tied a bow with. So there is that. All right, so thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed watching this demonstration, and that you'll be back with me again next week at 7 p.m. And that is August the 22nd. Take care and have a good week. And make sure to try to do something creative for yourself every day. I'll see you next week. Bye.